I want to do a couple of announcements, and I thought I'd do it so they could be on tape. This Sunday, is that when the practice period T is? This Sunday is the first practice period T if you're in practice period. I should also say Thursday is ongoing bag lunch if you're, is that Judy Breslin?
It is Judy Breslin.
Oh, we forgot to say names. Oh my goodness, excuse me, I'm gonna back up. Okay, whoa. Okay, let's back up. Sorry, I forgot that part. You guys have to help me remember. Let's go around here and say names. Everybody say your name, and then when you are on the screen, I'll just name off your name, and if you can put your hands in Gasho so we can get to see and know each other. I'm Chris.
Beth. Shelley.
Ellen.
Sally.
Marilyn.
Kristen.
Sherry. Heather.
Susan. Debbie.
Tara.
Elaine.
Gretchen.
Morgan. Kyle. Patty. Erica. Susan. Marjorie. Julie. Amy. Renee. Jenny. Linny. Did I say that right? Is it Linny or Leany?
Leanie.
Leany. Keep correcting me. Anne. Ellis. Suze.
Misha.
Misha's here.
And Misha. Oh, excuse me. Patricia. Judy. We missed you.
Yeah.
And Sue Ann. Whoa. Okay, I'll back up. Thursday, bag lunch in the park, ongoing, everybody's welcome. Sunday is the practice period T, our first one, and it's at Debbie and Joni's house. And I'm not quite sure what our Shuso Marilyn and Debbie and Joni are cooking up, but I do know that Debbie has for years wanted to do a Seijiki ceremony, which is a Buddhist ceremony that you do around this time of year. So we'll all come and find out what's going to happen, and bring treats. And if you're at home, coming online, make sure you get little treats, and bring your own treats and tea from your home. And the Thursday bag lunch is at Regal Park in Sebastopol. And the practice period T, in addition to all of the fun things in the eating and the hungry ghosts, and it's a chance to check in with each other about, so practice period, how's it going? And to maybe meet up with your practice period partner, which there's a list over there, and we're sending out every week of who your partners are, so please be in touch with each other. And I said this to some of you, that those of us in the room, there is a calligraphed Heart's Sutra, and we're going to send out the link to it so that you at home can download it, and there's more over there. And let's chant it. I'm going to remind us, encourage us. I'm going to say different things on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and some things will overlap and some won't. So maybe you'll hear some repetition, and maybe there'll be gaps. But if you're really enthusiastic and interested, you can go and listen to the tapes, which we send out in the newsletter. But when we chant this, we're not chanting it like sentences with periods. Is you want to drop down into your belly, into your body, and when you come to a period, just keep going. So you want to take breaths just intermediately. So the feeling is that this just keeps going and going and going. Okay? Heart of great perfect wisdom sutra. Avalokiteshvara Bodhisattva, when deeply practicing prajna paramita, clearly saw all five aggregates are empty and thus relieved all suffering. Shariputra, all dharmas are marked by emptiness. They neither arise nor cease, are neither defiled nor pure, neither increase nor decrease. Therefore, given emptiness, there is no form, no sensation, no perception, no formation, no consciousness, no eyes, no ears, no nose, no tongue, no body, no mind, no sight, no sound, no smell, no taste, no touch, no object of mind, no realm of sight, no realm of mind consciousness. There is neither ignorance nor extinction of ignorance, neither old age and death nor extinction of old age and death, no suffering, no cause, no cessation, no path, no knowledge, and no attainment. With nothing to attain, a bodhisattva relies on prajna paramita, and thus the mind is without hindrance. Without hindrance, there is no fear. Far beyond all inverted views, one realizes nirvana. All Buddhas of past, present, and future rely on prajna paramita and thereby attain unsurpassed, complete, perfect enlightenment. Therefore, know the prajna paramita as the great miraculous mantra, the great bright mantra, the supreme mantra, the incomparable mantra, which removes all suffering and is true, not false. Therefore, we proclaim the prajna paramita mantra, the mantra that says Gate, Gate, Parsamgate, Bodhisvaha. So it looked on my screen like you guys we're kind of going in and out of form and emptiness, and I've never chanted from this before, and I didn't quite realize that there's a little circular part where it goes into no eyes, no ears, no nose, no tongue, no body, no mind. So we all had our own little adventures here, and it was not a linear experience. Okay.
See it.
You didn't see it?
Oh, because my.
Oh, well, then you were just fine. You just went right along. Okay. That was fun doing walking meditation and feeling a heartbeat. Should try that more often. Grocery store, in the car. It's not linear. So I wanted to begin by, well, we talked about the title, I think, on Tuesday, maybe last Tuesday. I want to talk about the first line of the Heart Sutra tonight. Of course, the Heart Sutra, like everything, is you pick up any one piece and everything comes with you. I thought what I would do is I have 4 different translations. Well, let's see, I brought the translation that we use. That is, I think it's the one that Soto Zen Buddhists use. It's the agreed upon one. Then there is Thich Nhat Hanh's, and we're using Thich Nhat Hanh's Heart of Understanding and his most recent commentary on it, The Other Shore. I'll share his translation. Kaz Tanahashi, The Heart Sutra. And then I'll share his translation. And you could go online. He and Joan Halifax have done. You can find their translation of the Heart Sutra. And then Red Pine's translation of the Heart Sutra. Just so we don't get locked into words or concepts. can keep turning and being turned. So what we're using is Avalokiteshvara Bodhisattva, when deeply practicing Prajnaparamita, clearly saw that all 5 aggregates are empty and thus relieved all suffering. Thich Nhat Hanh's translation. Avalokiteshvara, while practicing deeply with the insight that brings us to the other shore, suddenly discovered that all of the 5 skandhas are equally empty, and with this realization, he overcame all ill being. Kaz Tanahashi. Avalokiteshvara, who helps all to awaken, moves in the deep course of realizing wisdom beyond wisdom, sees that all 5 streams of body and mind are boundless, and frees all from anguish. And red pine. The noble Avalokiteshvara Bodhisattva, while practicing the deep practice of Prajnaparamita, looked upon the 5 skandhas and seeing they were empty of self-existence. I cut it off. I'm sure it was relieved from all suffering. In Red Pine's words, of course. Okay. But different. Different ways of entering. An overview from above. It says Avalokiteshvara, the commentaries say Avalokiteshvara is looking down. So we're going to just take a moment and come up and look down on the Heart Sutra. Begins with calling on Avalokiteshvara, who's the most revered bodhisattva, to introduce the teachings of Prajnaparamita, the perfection of wisdom, to Shariputra, the Buddha's wisest disciple. So, an invocation of Avalokiteshvara, the bodhisattva of compassion from the place of wisdom instead of knowledge or conceptual truths. We're going beyond logical thinking here. And I love the word. I love the word courses. Somebody said particularly, but Kaz Tanahashi, who moves in the deep course. Isn't that interesting? Beautiful language. So you'll see, and we'll begin it a little bit tonight, is then what happens is Avalokiteshvara lists all the major conceptual categories of the Sarvastivadin Abhidharma school. Remember I said this last Tuesday some. And begins to see them all through emptiness, through the Mahayana or the Bodhisattva way. And says, you know what? These are all empty. All these things that you think are so, all the lists of terms and concepts that people have really been studying and believing. I mean, the Theravadan monks, that's how they taught, is they would study these lists. That's why there's so many lists in Buddhism, is they would go out and preach, teach by giving the lists, and people would listen to them, and of course, you know, were moved by them and believed them. But like anything, as you start to believe any kind of thing, and it turns into a dogma. So the 5 skandhas, the 6 modes of change, the 6 sense organs, the objects of the 6 sense organs, and the 6 sense consciousnesses, the 12-fold chain of causation, the 4 noble truths. And we'll spend a little time going over each one of them. And I thought maybe tonight we'd do the 5 skandhas, but maybe we'll do it next week. We'll see. Emptiness. I wanted to read you something from Norman Fisher about emptiness. The word emptiness is a fair translation of shunyata, but it has the drawback of sounding negative, even despairing. The emptiness of the Heart Sutra is something else entirely. It's good news of joyful freedom and liberation. It is good news of joyful freedom and liberation. Commentators to the sutra often ask the question, empty of what? And answer, empty of separate self, empty of weightiness, empty of burden, empty of boundary. Ooh, that's kind of nice. I'll say that again. Empty of a separate self. Where do you begin and end? Empty of weightiness, empty of burden, empty of boundary. The Chinese, searching for a word that might translate shunyata, use the character for sky. All dharmas are empty like the sky, blue, beautiful, expansive, and always ready to receive a bird, a wind, a cloud, the sun, the moon, or an airplane. The emptiness of the Heart Sutra isn't the emptiness of despair. This is Thich Nhat Hanh's commentary on this too, his critique of it. It's the emptiness of all limitation and boundary. It is open and released. I've been really enjoying people telling me how much the Heart Sutra has a feeling of it's like it's opening them, of entering it somehow, going beyond the words and giving ourselves to it. There's something opening in this. This is why the emptiness teaching of the Heart Sutra, which seems to be rather philosophical and dour, is the necessary basis for compassion. Emptiness and compassion go hand in hand. Now, I will say personally, and I've said this before because it's an ongoing practice, is you might have noticed that I like bodhisattvas. I think bodhisattvas, that's the Mahayana way, and bodhisattva activity, bodhisattva practice, but I kept stumbling over what bodhisattvas are grounded in, what they know is emptiness. Now, this set me up against, I was not particularly attracted to the concept of emptiness. But if bodhisattvas were into emptiness, I sort of didn't have any choice. So I want to keep giving us this. Bodhisattvas is not just being nice people. It looks like that, being good people, good loving kindness. But the ground of it is emptiness. It's the Heart Sutra. It's this teaching. It's so important because it's what turns the whole world. In Mahayana Buddhism, compassion is often discussed in terms of absolute and relative compassion. Absolute compassion is compassion in the light of emptiness. All beings are empty. All beings are, by virtue of their empty nature, already liberated and pure. And as the sutra says, suffering is empty and relief from suffering is also empty. But this would be one-sided and distorted. Might be a little cold, might be a little detached, might be a little distant. Relative compassion, human warmth and practical emotional support completes the picture. Absolute compassion makes it possible for us to sustain joyfully the endless work of supporting and helping. This is how you don't burn out. This is the practice of going beyond resentment. This is the practice of thinking, I'm giving something to you. This is the practice of no giver, no receiver, no gift. And it's an ongoing practice because, of course, we have a self. And we get tired and we want to help and we feel good when we help, and then we feel maybe resentment when we were so helpful and the person didn't really appreciate us, or all those things. So there's this deep, boundless, open ground out of which you keep returning, and the impulse for goodness and compassion arises, because that's just the nature of everything being like brother and sister. And relative compassion grounds our broad view of life's empty nature in heart connection and engagement. Either view by itself would be impossible, but both together make for a wonderfully connected and sustainable life. Okay, so we've got calling on Avalokiteshvara. We've got looking at all of the concepts Buddhist concepts and our own concepts about life and compassion and wisdom and likes and dislikes, and then we have the mantra. So it begins. So the summary of the teachings is through the mantra, which is, as we talked a little bit about, I think through Zenju, it's kind of a magical mantra. It takes us beyond conceptual categories and into the womb of the Buddhas. Ooh. What is that? The teaching has been called the Mother of Buddhas. So the Heart Sutra emphasizes the things of not happening. No eyes, no ears, no nose, no tongue, no body, but things also happen, and we don't have to choose one over the other. That's the middle way. That's the practice. Just keep coming back. So we see things according to difference. That's how we perceive. Practical, intellectual. Don't get too trippy. If you will, you'll cut yourself, or chopping wood, you'll miss the wood, whatever it is. And there's also, it's whole. So it's like this. It's like breathing. It's like heartbeat. Ba-bum, ba-bum, ba-bum. I'll remind you, the sutra happens in the Buddha's meditation. So it's non-conceptually experienced in meditation. So if somebody said to you, what happens in your meditation? What's it like? And you go, well, it's a little of this, or maybe it's a little of that. Or the Heart Sutra is a description. From Avalokiteshvara of what meditation feels like. The actual experience. So we can begin to notice it. Because we experience distinctions in thoughts and feelings, right? I bet you had a few thoughts and a few feelings while we were sitting. And also times when the differences just fade away. And distinctions between big and small, and near and far, and momentary and timeless, and self and other, and life and death. It's like we can pull ourselves right back into it. It'll be there in an instant. But there's also this deep Zazen body, Buddha body. Sometimes it's described as leaping clear. It's where Bodhisattvas course. So the Heart Sutra is not to be outside of, but to enter. And to embody, feel, sense, enter reality before separation. It's right here. It's right here. And there's separation. So Avalokiteshvara is doing what we do in meditation, which is studying the mind. Watching the mind. Whoa, whoa. And clearly sees, when you study the mind, I don't know about all of you, but I was kind of chewing on something tonight, and I was chewing on it. I mean, it was like chewing on me. And it's like, all of a sudden it just didn't have the same chew. I kind of let go. And then I can feel myself go, but wait a minute, there's some more chewing to do on this thing. I know, but then it's really fascinating to watch, isn't it? It's like it's wide open and everything's fine. And then you keep dragging it in, or it drags you in, and it's not good or bad or otherwise, just keep breathing. Because life then becomes more and more flexible. You know it's always moving, and there's a constant dynamic interpenetration. And the more you know that, the more you want to be compassionate with your own suffering, you want to be compassionate with everybody else's. There's the feeling of, I often have actually I had the feeling today of like, your mind is really crazy. It gets invested in these stories. You know, it's just, and it's like, oh, there we are again. And there's something, it's like the search for wisdom in the midst of it, the search for compassion. It's very dynamic when it's happening. And there's also the feeling of like, oh my goodness. Whew. So I'm a good person. Really. And I try really hard, and I've been practicing really hard. And if this is what's going on in here, then how can I be so judgmental? No, I never am, trust me. About what these other crazy people are doing out there. It's like, just take a breath and come back. So the Heart Sutra is really, it's like this song. It's like this little whisper. So here's I'm going to give you a couple of, we're never going to get to the skandhas. We'll do it Thursday. I want to give you a couple koans. This is Dogen really liked this koan about Avalokiteshvara. I love this koan about, maybe Dogen loved it too, this koan about Avalokiteshvara. Yin Yan, what does a bodhisattva of great compassion do with so many hands and eyes? Avalokiteshvara, 100,000 hands and eyes. And Dawu says it's like someone reaching back for a pillow in the night. I think Erica's talked about this koan. I got it. What did you get? All over the body are hands and eyes. And whatever his name is, Yun Yan says, you've said it well, but it's 8 or 9 out of 10. Don't think you're ever going to get 10. It's like, try your best. You just keep doing your best. The response is, I am just this. I am just this. Just here. And how are you? My brothers, my sisters, how are we? Wherever the body reaches, it is hands and eyes. That's just the truth of it. The entire body, I sometimes, this can make you really trippy. I walk around and I think there are hands and eyes on the leaves, there are hands and eyes on the carpet, there are hands and eyes in the bugs, there are hands, everything is hands and eyes, and all of a sudden it's like the whole world becomes dynamically interpenetrated in the most kind of Disneyland type world. You could try it for a moment. Because the activity of the bodhisattva of great compassion is her whole mind and body itself, it is not limited. Anytime you grab on a notion or an idea of self and other, we've pulled ourselves out of this dynamic interpenetration of everything. Everything and everyone we encounter is hands and eyes and is Avalokiteshvara, which is the life force. So life is no longer personal, and we more and more live out of a universal, compassionate heart of the Bodhisattva. The continuous interaction between the self and the conditions that surround the self creates our life and our karma. Everything is creating us, and we are co-creating it moment after moment. You worried about the elections? Take a breath. Be the world you want it to be. Over. Do you know vote and vow have the same root word? Live your vote. And vote, please. And that's not that there's not reason to be concerned, but be it, live it, course in it. So here's something from Thich Nhat Hanh. Prajnaparamita is the liberating insight that helps us to overcome all pairs of opposites, such as birth and death, being and non-being, defilement and immaculacy, increasing and decreasing, subject and object, and so on. All phenomena are products of dependent arising. Everything, interbe. That is the main point of the Prajnaparamita teachings. This helps us to get in touch with the true nature of no birth, no death, no being, no non-being, which is the true nature of all phenomena. Oh, here's the story I wanted to tell you. Okay. I'm just going to tell you this story, and then we'll have a little time, and we'll do the skandhas on. No, Marilyn's talking on Thursday. We'll do it next week. But here's the second koan. Thich Nhat Hanh gives this story, and he gives it as this koan as an antidote to what he thinks is the nihilism of emptiness and the way it's been taught, which pulls us out of the world in a world of it's too pure. It's like setting ourselves up to be something empty. Like you shouldn't be messy. You shouldn't be a human being. Like you don't have a body. Like there's not birth and death. It's like, come on. It's like we're human beings and we're all in this together and we're all waking up together. So I love this. A Zen master asked the novice monk, "Tell me about your understanding of the Heart Sutra." The novice monk joined his palms and replied, "I have understood that the 5 skandhas are empty. There are no eyes, no ears, no nose, no tongue, no body, no mind. There are no forms, sound, smells, taste, touch, feelings, objects of mind. The 6 consciousnesses do not exist. The 18 realms of phenomena do not exist. The 12 links of dependent arising do not exist. And even wisdom and attainment do not exist." Do you believe what it says? Yes, I truly believe what it says. Come closer to me, the Zen master instructed the novice monk. This feels a little bit like Halloween stories, It's like, come a little closer here. When the novice monk drew near, the Zen master immediately used his thumb and index finger to pinch and twist the novice's nose. In great agony, the novice cried out, "Teacher, you're hurting me." The Zen master looked at the novice and said, "Just now you said the nose doesn't exist. But if the nose doesn't exist, then what's hurting? What's hurting? You try to skip hurting, you're going to skip the whole world. And you'll never know joy and compassion and love. You can't skip any of it." So here's one more. I liked this. It's from Gerald Leonard. Of what is the body made? It is made of emptiness and rhythm. Isn't that great? Emptiness and rhythm. At the ultimate heart of the body, at the heart of the world, there is no solidity. There is only dance. Nobody ever told me about that in the Heart Sutra in the beginning. Okay, so let's see. I want to be able to chant at the end. How about just find a pair, and if you can't do pair,